So, Funkhauser, have you ever heard of King's X? Do you know that band?
Yeah, well, absolutely. They're a big one
King's
from way
X,
back then.
Yeah. They were, I guess, late 80s, early 90s band. But they were huge. Well, not huge, but they were really, really sort of like successful in England. And I guess they never really caught on the same way in America they did overseas in places like England and Europe. But man, I loved them in middle school. And one of the things that I loved about King's X was the singing in that band. There were three guys, and they all sang constantly, harmonizing like you wouldn't believe, singing like absolute birds. But Doug Pinnick, their frontman, still has an absolutely incredible voice. If you've never heard King's X, Funkhauser, do you have maybe Over My Head?
Sure.
Let's listen to a little King's X. Yes. Plays a 12-string bass, which kind of fattens out the sound, bearing in mind that there's only three of them. Listen to this guy's voice. I mean, this guy, especially if you see him especially if you've seen him live, has such incredible command over his voice. It's big, it's powerful, it cuts through over the sound of the band, and he just sings his ever-loving ass off. Case in point, right? Can clearly hit those notes. But what was interesting was several years ago, the new lineup of Alice in Chains played a BuzzFest rock show that one of the stations I'm on in Houston was hosting. And Doug Pinnick from King's X lives in Houston, Texas a lot of the year. And he's an incredibly well-respected musician among, musicians especially. And so the guys in Alice in Chains thought, hey, Doug Pinnick lives in Houston. Why don't you come out and sing with us? And he sang Man in the Box with them. Play Man in the Box, Funkhauser. Not just the chorus.
Well, okay.
Now, Lane from Alice in Chains had a very impressive voice, too. But in terms of sheer singing ability, I kind of place Doug Pinnick of King's X. You can put King's X back on now, Funkhauser. Over Lane Staley. Like an absolutely incredible voice. See if you can pull up Summerland. Summerland's an amazing song. And so I see Doug Pinnick backstage. I'm like, hey, King's X guy, your music has meant an awful lot to me over the years. What you doing here? He's like, oh, man, Jerry and the guys from Alice in Chains thought it would be cool if I went out and sang with them. I was like, oh, this is going to be incredible. This is going to be amazing. And he gets up on stage and he goes for that big Alice in Chains chorus, which based on everything that you've heard him do and I've heard him do, you would think he would just absolutely knock out of the park. Couldn't quite manage it.
Oh.
Couldn't quite pull it off. Sounded out of breath, couldn't hit the notes, couldn't hold the notes the same way. And I was shocked because, this guy's listen to his voice. Soulful, clearly has no problems hitting those notes. Oh, I love this song so much, Funkhauser. I love this song so much. But the guy had an amazing, unique, and powerful voice, and probably technically a way better singer than Lane Staley of Alice in Chains. But singing that chorus in that way was not really his forte. Oh, listen to this. Beautiful. It's like the Beatles. And I suppose my point is, you would expect this guy to absolutely knock it out of the park. Technically a better singer than the guy that sang Man in the Box, probably. But he just wasn't him. It wasn't his forte. It wasn't what he did best. And for that reason, it fell a little flat, which, came to mind when I opened up the TV ratings this morning and looked at how Megyn Kelly was doing.
Radio
104.1. Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So like I was saying, a Buzz Fest. One of the radio stations I'm on in Houston, Texas, 94.5 The Buzz, Houston's Rockin' Alternative. Alice in Chains were playing. And guy from King's X, guy called Doug Pinnick, who's got an absolutely incredible voice, lives in Houston and was invited by the guys in Alice in Chains to get on stage with them and sing Man in the Box. And I kind of assumed that Doug Pinnick, being a superior vocalist, just in the world of vocalists, would knock it out of the park, have no problem. But he really kind of struggled singing that big old chorus to Man in the Box, which was surprising to me. And a good reminder that, well, everybody's kind of got their something. People excel at different things. And even though he might have technically been a better singer, whatever it took to belt Man in the Box out in front of a stadium full of 20,000 people, he didn't necessarily have it that night. I mean, it was really cool seeing him on stage and everybody loved it, but it kind of didn't hold up. And I was reminded of that this morning when I opened up the paper and saw what was going on with Megyn Kelly. You've been following this, Funkhauser?
No, what's happening?
It's not going well. And look, this is apropos of nothing, but I was just struck by it. I was struck by the fact that Megyn Kelly, apparently it's like the worst the Today Show has ever done, like ever. I think it was, and maybe ratings mean something to you, maybe they don't, but I think she had a 0.77, like not even a 1 share, and now it's down to a 0.54. Really, really bad. Possibly like an all-time low for the Today Show. And it kind of boggles my mind. Have you watched any of it, Funkhauser? Have you seen any of it?
No, I've heard a little of it, but I haven't watched it.
It's been I haven't watched it, but I kind of like
surprisingly nothing's trended online for me to see.
Well, yeah. I guess people aren't paying attention. I mean, there was that one thing where she had, I think the very first week she was on, she had the cast of Will and Grace on. And then she had some guy who was a Will and Grace super fan say that he was inspired by the character Will from Will and Grace. He was a gay guy, and he was inspired to become a lawyer by Will, the character of Will. And Megyn Kelly was like, oh, well, there you go. You were inspired to be gay by him? And he was like, yeah. And I watched some of it back. When I found out the ratings were as low as they were, I kind of took a look at some of the hallmarks of it not going so well, not so smoothly. And I saw that, and it was really kind of like embarrassing for everybody, because she was like, so Will from Will and Grace inspired you to be gay? And he was like, he inspired me to be a lawyer. And she said to him, like, well, I think, the gay thing is going to work out great. Like, those were the words that came out of her mouth. She was like, the gay thing's going to work out great for you. And it's funny, she went to put her arm around this guy, and he was like, uncomfortable. It was really awkward. She also did that thing where she asked Jane Fonda about her plastic surgery. Like, hey, you look really great. What have you had done? And Jane Fonda was like, do we really want to talk about that now? And Jane Fonda's been open about the things that she had done. And I think Megyn Kelly was kind of going for this angle, like, it'll be empowering for you to talk about getting Botox. And so people know that you're owning it, and it's okay to nip and tuck and whatever you got to do. And it's cool to admit it. Or I don't know what her angle was, but she was going for something, and it failed to land in somewhat spectacular style. And Jane Fonda was like, do we really, really want to talk about that now? But here's what I don't get, Funkhauser. When did you first become aware of Megyn Kelly?
Oh, it was a while ago.
Mm-hmm. And what was she doing at the time? Probably Fox News in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what This is what boggles my freaking mind. I absolutely don't understand. Like, I was looking at what Megyn Kelly does and how much they pay her to do it, and how she said, like, oh, I'm not going to do politics. I think I'm done with politics for a while. And I don't know if she decided she was done with politics or her new employers decided she was done with politics when she left Fox News, but I don't get it whatsoever, because she is rumored to be getting paid something like $20 million a year to do what she's doing, which is lose spectacularly. And what I don't get is why would you hire Megyn Kelly, who has been very successful doing what she's doing over at Fox News for a really long time? Like, I haven't seen too much of her. I don't tend to watch Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. I look for facts and facts only. I like to draw my own conclusions based on facts. I don't need some talking head editorializing and puffing out their chest and ramming their opinion down my throat. I being the evolved critical thinker that I am, which is not that rare of a quality, so I don't understand why people look to form their opinions based on Fox and CNN. But being the evolved critical thinker that I am, I find that I can draw my own conclusions based on the facts, and I feel that people that don't do that are missing out on a little bit of fun. But nevertheless, there's folks that enjoy that sort of thing, and, well, Megyn Kelly had a really, really, really good run at doing that stuff over at Fox, and it boggles my mind that they go, okay, all right, we're going to pay you. You're making $10 million at Fox. We are going to pluck you out of Fox News, and we're going to put you into the mainstream. But you know that thing that you're really good at? Don't do it. Do something else. We're going to pay you twice the money to do something we don't know if you're good at or not. What the hell are you thinking? It blows my ever-loving mind, and it shows me how little people with bazillions of dollars at their command know about what the hell they're doing in the entertainment business. It's a very weird thing. Like, did you hear about this scandal in New York City on the fan, Funkhauser, WFAN?
No, that's still a thing?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. You don't know about this?
No,
All right, so there was... Really? How could you be in radio and not know about this?
Well, I mean, how long? Are you talking about, like, current news?
No, this is
okay,
very,
then I
very
might,
recent.
oh, well, then I don't know. No, I've been out of touch. What happened?
So, Boomer and Carton, the big sports shows, the biggest sports shows in New York City. Well, Carton of Boomer and Carton was arrested for being involved in a Ponzi scheme. He had a really, really bad gambling problem, and he was taking people's money and saying, look, I think it was like a ticket scam. The idea was like, I can get half price tickets to sporting events. So give me $1 million. We're going to buy $1 million worth of tickets, turn around and flip them for $2 million. And he wasn't doing that at all. He was going to the casino and gambling their money away, and then borrowing more money, like really phenomenally large amounts of money off of other people. And it was, like I said, a Ponzi scheme, and it all came crashing down around him. He was arrested. It was this whole big thing. And I think it was like a $6 million ticket scam, and just crazy stuff. But anyways, there's a lot of people that listen to this show that are really big Mets fans, and they've heard me talk about the Mets. And Boomer and Carton are no longer a thing because Carton got arrested. And when Carton got arrested, so many people that I guess listen to this show from New York or listen to the fan in New York because they want to hear about what's going on with New York sports hit me up, and they're like, dude, you need to be the new Carton. You know, Boomer needs a new sidekick. That should be you. We need a voice like yours in New York City. We need a real Mets fan. And I was like, no effing way. I couldn't do sports radio. But they're like, when you talk about the Mets, the subject just comes alive. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. No, here's the thing. I love the Mets, love them to pieces, and know literally everything there is to know about the Mets for the most part. And everybody assumes that means I'm a big sports fan, but I'm really not. I'm not even really a big baseball fan. I know about the Mets. I love the Mets, and I know about the team that they're playing at the time, on the day. But beyond that, my knowledge of that sort of thing is unbelievably slim. And besides the fact that I'm absolutely locked up on my iHeartRadio contract and wouldn't have an option of trying to get that gig even if I wanted it. Well, I don't know. I literally grew up in England playing rugby. Didn't follow football. My school had a baseball team and a rugby team. So I don't know a thing about the Jets. I don't know a thing about the Giants. I really don't know. It's not my passion. It's not what I'm good at. And so people were just like, is that something you'd potentially be interested in? I was like, no, I do a really, really bad job at that. And I'm amazed Megyn Kelly went to NBC and said, I can do this thing that I've never done before. You're going to throw me in at the deep end under every single spotlight, illuminated to fail in front of, well, I was going to say millions, but apparently not that many people have been watching. But it's like, I don't get why she would go over there and do that. Nor do I understand why the folks over at NBC would ask her to do that. It's like, you ever watch Iron Chef, Funkhauser?
Oh, long time ago.
Long time ago. Well, hiring Megyn Kelly to go do sort of like cuddly interviews with the cast of Will and Grace over at NBC it's kind of like hiring, what was that guy's name? Who was the Iron Chef Japanese? He opened up a couple restaurants.
I don't remember.
In Philadelphia. Iron Chef Morimoto. It was like hiring Iron Chef Morimoto. Iron Chef Japanese, one of the most celebrated sushi chefs in the world, and saying, okay, all right, we want you. You're clearly a commodity in the culinary world. We are going to give you twice what you were making before at your old restaurant, but here's the twist. We're going to have you make fried chicken and pizza. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's very bizarre and makes me wonder about this industry that we're in. Funkhauser. None higher, circus in the age, call me sire. Think you're gonna be the one to take me down and guess again? No. Whoa. Money making, skills on the mic, keep me paid every day. And for part of the battle, just bow down, better act like you know. Whoa. Come on.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on. So, did you see this thing? Did you hear this thing, or do you see this thing that last week tonight put together on Megyn Kelly?
No.
If you just joined us, we were talking about the fact that Megyn Kelly's ratings, and it made me think. It made me think why people get put in this weird position so many times. Made me think that her ratings are at the very lowest they've ever been. Not only that, it's an all-time low for Today in general, which she's the host of. And as we were saying before, it's very, very odd to have this idea of, like, here you have a very successful political sort of like news reporter, somebody who likes to editorialize with a very strong right-wing leaning, and then put them on the Today Show with the cast of Will and Grace and expect her to act warm and cuddly and have it go well and be effective. A, half the people watching that show are not necessarily fans. B, they're not becoming fans because of her somewhat ham-fisted delivery, as was illustrated perfectly by this. Have a listen to this.
In a world, in a country that is incredibly divided right now, my hope is that this show can be a unifying force.
And now a look at the unifying force that is Megyn Kelly.
Gay rights are more and more protected and recognized in this country. Christian beliefs and Christian rights, not so much. This is about the attempted war on the religious right, not the war on women. And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white. Jesus was a white man, too. The decision to drop the now infamous voter intimidation case against members of the New Black Panther Party. New Black Panther Party. The New Black Panther case. New Black Panther Party. The New Black Panther Party out there saying we got to go kill some cracker babies. Kill us some cracker babies. Do you hate white people? Is President Obama playing the race card? And now people have made this this into a race thing. Do black lives matter or do all lives matter? You want to take a shot at that? Last night's Democratic debate found 5 presidential contenders suggesting black lives may have more value than all lives. Are these just thugs? I'm thinking thugs is not far off the mark. Thug behavior, the thug mentality, and that's a controversial term, but, that it's cool to sort of hate the cops and hang out and, be somebody who doesn't necessarily prize being there for your family. Illegals, late-term abortions, voter fraud, the left-wing press, death panels, war on Christmas, Benghazi. Look at that moron. An idiot. Cupcake Nation alert. A culture of victimization in this country. If you watch those VMAs, you really have to wonder if in 25 years the new standard is they're just going to be openly having sexual intercourse on the stage. Why can't it be a day where we take a moment and we stop and we acknowledge the role that God has played in the formation of this country?
You get on TV every night and state what you believe to.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Well, I do. I state what
I know, because you're an opinion guy. I'm a journalist.
Beautifully put together by the folks over at Last Week Tonight. And I bring it up, I suppose, you might be wondering what this really has to do with anything, but I bring it up because, Funkhauser, what do you think the real Megyn Kelly actually thinks? Like, you're a media nerd. You follow all this sort of stuff. Like, whenever someone gets a new hosting gig, before they actually know they're getting a gig. Like, I bet you knew how big Megyn Kelly's contract was before it actually went down. Don't know how you do it, but you're absolutely tapped into this sort of thing. So what do you think? Who do you think the real Megyn Kelly is? Is she the cuddly Will and Grace person, or is she the Fox News right-wing sort of baiter?
I think she's an entertainer. So, the things that she says on television, she doesn't take home with her, I believe. Do you think she's just having a little fun wherever it is she goes? I think she's got a lot of people in her ear and a lot of people writing for her. That's what makes her a journalist. That's why she thinks she's a journalist, is she's got a lot of, journalism happening around her. But I don't think she takes it home with her.
It just kind of boggles my mind because, look, we spent a lot of time on this show talking about division and how to conquer it. It's a genuinely destructive force in America in this day and age. It really, truly is. And look, we've said it before, I'll say it again. Politicians and to just as much of an extent, the media prey on what I believe are the folks they think are the least informed and the weakest in society. And great way to do that is by going, hey, you lost out on something. You're missing something. Something has been taken from you. You're not living a happy, fulfilled, self-actualized life. All your hopes and dreams are not coming true. Because why? Because the other side took it from you. And that's why there's such good money in division. That's why there is such great political force in division. It's the lack of need to think critically that I think is sort of destroying us. So many people are happy to have their minds made up for them by the Megyn Kellys of this world. And on the left, whoever it is, Don Lemon, I don't know. I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch MSNBC. It was just Megyn Kelly's ratings being so terrifically bad made me think a little bit more about this situation. So I don't know who the pundits are. I don't know who the talking heads are on the warring news networks. But it made me think, do they really honestly believe a single word that's coming out of their mouth? Or are they getting paid phenomenal amounts of money so they're just like, run with it? Funkhauser, if someone told you to become a right-wing pundit and they're going to offer you $12 million to do it. That's what.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a problem in America today. There's a big problem. We need to stop it. How much money again? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. 100%. Like, it's such a phenomenally large amount of cash that you could see how people's will would crumble. I've never been offered a check. I've been told by a couple different people, hey, if the right wing doesn't really have anyone funny, and you kind of lean a little right sometimes, and you're a little left sometimes, and you mostly hang out in the middle, but if you could be like your usual amusing self and go hardcore right wing, then, man, the gravy train would roll in. And I was like, no, I could never do that. I could never sell myself out. I could never be part of what I consider to be the problem in this country, the division in this country. But I don't know. That's what I told them when they floated the idea out to me. And it was someone that was reasonably powerful in radio that suggested it to me. And I was like, nah, I couldn't do it. But if you attached a check to that for $12 million or whatever the hell ridiculous amount of money these Fox News types get paid, I don't know if my resolve would have been so steely as I was driving my 2002 car with a tape deck in it to and from work, my 3 different jobs. I don't know. I really don't know. I like to think I'd be principled. Funkhauser would sell out lickety freaking split, apparently. But I suppose the point I'm trying to make is that there's so much control. There's so much control over our thoughts. There's so much control over our thoughts that these massive media companies have. And this is not limited to the left. This is not limited to the right. But it's almost like really, really buying a song, a piece of music, really, really feeling this song that someone sings, and then finding out that they had a ghostwriter do it. Finding out that this was a cover, finding out that this was not their song. They don't believe those words. They didn't live that experience. Do they have any right to be singing about it? The answer is probably not. So I guess what I'm doing, I guess what Megyn Kelly's ratings downfall prompted me to think about was thinking for yourself. Politicians and news media like people that don't think for themselves, and there's plenty of them, and that's how they manage to make bazillions of dollars off of them. But it will always come back to you. Think for yourself. It's easy. You don't need to run to, I suppose I'm talking myself out of a job here, Funkhauser. You don't need to run to your radio or your television set to decide how you feel about something. You know in your heart of hearts. You know where your moral compass's true north points. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. You don't need Facebook. You don't need Google. You don't need Fox. You don't need CNN. And you would think that would be an obvious thing. But it feels like we as Americans are being so easily played, so easily divided, so easily preyed upon, so easily separated. The old expression is divide and conquer. And I feel like we're being divided. And we're not conquered yet. But we're getting there. So bearing in mind, we've established, I think, kind of conclusive proof that folks like Megyn Kelly, whose every word a lot of people hang on, and folks like Don Lemon. He's a left-wing guy, right? Is that sort of like the CNN equivalent of what Megyn Kelly used to be? I really don't know these people because I'm not a big watcher of this sort of thing. Is that a fair comparison?
I think so.
These folks they're entertainers. They're having some fun. They're making a lot of money. They're in it for a paycheck.